having reliable transportation, making sure that there's walkability, making sure that we're not relying on cars only, making sure there's something in place where we have sidewalks where people can walk, where there is bike trails where people can actually ride their bike, where people can transport their groceries not only by cars. So when we look at affordable housing, we have to think about programs that are already in place, and then we also have to think about programs that we can put in place to make sure that the citizen rights are protected. When I say citizens, I'm talking about those who are renting property and those who own property, because we know that I'm a property owner. So we know that people that rent property have the right to earn money. However, we want to make sure that it's conscionable, contract and agreement between those that they're renting the property to.
Hello again, my name is John Singletary, and the question actually deals with several areas, and I'll leave the most important for last. The first thing it asked was, what would we do in terms of maintaining sustainability in housing? It talks about the infrastructure. For the infrastructure, I will continually work with the Low Country Rapid Transit and the BCD car to continue smart solutions for transportation. When it comes to recreation, if you take a look at my brochure in the back, there's a 5x7 card. You can scan the QR code. It's 76 pages that literally puts in writing what I will do. There's a copy of it right there. But when it comes to recreation, I'll build 16 comprehensive community centers in North Charleston dealing with recreation that goes throughout the city. When it comes to the city of North Charleston and the grocery store, I made it very clear that within 12 months, 1 year, I will build a grocery store inside of the food desert. And this is nothing new, simply because I've helped to build them before. My family owned a grocery store that was in a little town called Springfield. We built it from the ground up, stocked it, and serviced that community. So I'm talking experience on the things that I'm talking about. Housing. When it comes to housing, the first thing that we must do is to make sure that we define the term affordability, attainability, whatever you would like to call it. My definition is 30% of your income, no more. 30% of your income, you will be able to own your own home in North Charleston. I say that based on experience because I actually built the home that I'm living in today with my hands. And I've built several in the state of South Carolina. So when I say 30% of your income, it's not an elusive term. We want you to be able to use 30% of your income in order to live and stay in North Charleston by building your own home. That's in my brochure as well. Finally, the piece that has been missing is the crime. You have to be in safe neighborhoods. So we need to make sure that there is a plan for crime. That too is in my brochure, to make sure that we bring that crime rate down that's nationally known. So if you get the brochure and look at it, accountability, hold me accountable for what's in there. Thank you.
Affordable housing. I too once lived in affordable housing. It's called George Degree. I lived there for like 5 or 6 years, so I experienced that. But when we talk affordable housing at this point in time, as your mayor, you have to understand the definition. You have to understand what causes that. Well, affordable housing, like the secretary said, 30% of your income. You pay 30% toward that rent or whatever you pay. But you have to realize this too. You have to look at the AMI of the region, the average median income. In North Charleston, the average median income is $52,000. You take 60% of that away from the $52,000, and that gives you about $31,000. That is the beginning of affordable housing. That's what it is. Then, when you look at Charleston County, it's 70%. $70,000. Then when you go down to Mount Pleasant, it's $106,000. So when you look at affordable housing, it lends into what we call, he stated, crime. If you live in and making $31,000, it's a hard task to deal with. Also, when you talk about the infrastructure, we talk about recreation. If we're not actually putting monies into our communities that are challenged, then what do you expect these young people to do with time? If we're not actually looking out for a mother who has to decide if I have to go to work and work 2 jobs or stay home and my lights get turned off, if we don't put more investments in these communities, that it's going to be a problem. I really truly believe as a city, with my institutional knowledge, being there on the front lines in these neighborhoods, walking in the streets, walking in the neighborhoods, sitting on porches, and understanding what the folks are experiencing. I too experience the same. I realize this, that we as a city, we can do a whole lot better. Why? Because we made $8.5 billion in retail sales. We're the #1 epicenter in the state of South Carolina. So we need to invest in these communities, and we can get rid of some of the affordable housing, not all of some. Thank you.
They keep making me vertically challenged. So first off, I think that we need to look at our zoning ordinances. Developers these days, they prefer to build apartments over houses. But the reason they do that is they make more money off of apartments. But if we could change our zoning ordinances to allow for townhomes, for duplexes, for quadplexes to be home ownership, then we get to fill that gap for affordable or attainable housing. The city of North Charleston owns a lot of property within the boundaries of the city of North Charleston. I think we need to take a look at these properties. We need to say, okay, let's work with some land trusts. Let's work with developers so that we can help people afford to live in a home. Nobody needs to not feel like they don't deserve the right to live in a home. The other thing is, we have a lot of old homes in the city of North Charleston. We have a lot of air property homes. Some people have never had to make the house payment. They haven't had a mortgage. But at the same time, you have private developers coming in and they're buying homes from these, especially in the south end of the city, for pennies on the dollar. But they're turning around and they're selling it for 3-4 times the amount that you sold your home for. So what I would like to see is to work with developers, to work with community banks, so that people can remain in their homes and work with them to get a mortgage so that they have a home that they're proud to live in. It is their God-given right, and I will do my best to make this happen. Thank you.
Liberty Hill is the oldest surviving Black neighborhood in the state of South Carolina, but today that survival is in jeopardy. Big developers with deep pockets have offered $1.8 million to purchase historical land from the heirs of one of the first families to settle on Liberty Hill. I am one of those heirs, but I stand with my community. With your help, the Liberty Hill community can purchase this property and save ourselves. We have to continue restoring pride and self-sufficiency back to our neighborhood. Yes, the need is great, $1.8 million, but our resolve is greater. Please give today. Help us stop this sale and save Liberty Hill.
Person to understand what's going on in North Charleston. My background, I have a master's in business administration degree. So that's allowed me to organize in the community in a way that helps the residents. Another thing that we forget about when we talk about the mayor's office is that the mayor is elected by the people. So therefore, the mayor is there to represent the residents, all residents in North Charleston. So first of all, I will be a person that's for the people. I've got 16 years of community work and community experience, taking to the streets, going out to the community, and then I've gone to City Hall, taking the issues of the people to City Hall, and asking City Hall for certain things like help with amenities, drainage, putting it in the budget. So I was able to help get a park put into Dorchester Wayland neighborhood. We were able to get a park, we were able to get sidewalks over the years, and so I think every neighborhood needs amenities, including Liberty Hill. So as mayor, I will make sure that all of the departments in North Charleston serve the residents. So I'll be over all the departments in North Charleston. We have to make sure that their budget, $100+ million budget, whatever they're looking at, because the problem with the budget is that we need more transparency. I want to know what the cash holdings of the budget is, not just the in and out income and expenses of the budget. So I want to know where those dollars are sitting. I've got experience on the Nancy board helping get dollars to the community, and we know that they held on to $4.2 million, over $4 million of community money for over 5 years. So those are the kind of things that I'll bring to the City Hall as mayor. And I will make sure that all of the departments in North Charleston will serve the residents, including the department that's over drainage, ditches, and making sure that the drainage is maintained in neighborhoods across North Charleston, including Liberty Hill. So thank you so much. I'll be a mayor for the people. Thank you.
Mr. Fleming, as you approach, make sure that you draw the parallels you are looking for the areas in which you have experience that qualifies you for the position.
My adult working career prepared me to be mayor. Aboard my Navy vessels, I was in charge of work centers, the most sophisticated war machines on the face of the earth. I was in charge of 2 work centers. I had about 80 to 90 guys working for me the entire time we were in the ocean, floating around, defending our country. While I was on shore in the Air Force, I was in charge of 60 aircraft, C-17s you see them every day flying over your head. Those are my boys.
There is fairness in what is being done. So when it comes down to the skills, I am the only one that has served on the bench. I am a negotiator by way of the fact that I am a mediator in the state of South Carolina as well in North Carolina. I'm a business agent. I negotiated contracts worth millions of dollars. I'm a Teamster, was a Teamster business agent. I think when it comes down to being the mayor, you must have experience in multi-categorical areas because it consists of education. It consists of knowing how to deal with developers, having an interest in economic development, having the love and the compassion to want to bring change in the city of Charleston. That's why I feel that my experience outweighs all the experience of the candidates that are sitting behind me. Thank you.
Caution the candidates to make sure that you clarify your direct role in the things that you mentioned so that the audience will get to really know what it is that you did.
Thank you. My name is John Singletary, and concerning the budget and forecasting for South Carolina First Steps, operating as the regional financial manager, I handle a budget over $300 million with 7 counties, not one, 7 counties, that I not only did the forecasting and prepared the budget, but also dealt with the directors in terms of making sure that they knew how to understand and operate that budget from an accounting standpoint. Upon graduating from college, I went to Chick-fil-A where I actually built stores, $1 million stores throughout the United States to make sure that the operators and their employees that I trained knew how to take care of their units. With Hewlett-Packard, I was the ISO 9000 technology consultant, and in doing that, throughout South America, North America, Canada, and Puerto Rico. 58,000 employees with Hewlett-Packard, and I was responsible for the technology wing of it, as well as the PC Common Operating Environment rollout. So, billions of dollars in servers that I was directly responsible for as a technology consultant for them, as well as with Nucor and HP, an ISO 9000 consultant, that what I would literally do throughout the United States for them is to make sure that they would not only understand the budgeting process, the forecasting process, but also in terms of quality control, making sure that they stay within the quality control guidelines. Here locally, the South Carolina Fatherhood Practitioners Network, 48 counties. I not only helped to initiate that, but I ran that as the president for South Carolina. So when we talk about forecasting and budgeting, along with my formal education, again, my undergraduates in business administration, and so is my master's, I am the most qualified to make sure when it comes to the budget for North Charleston, that's $147 million, is well managed, taken care of, and that it is used to make sure that it provides the correct services for the citizens of North Charleston. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to change it a little bit here. And no disrespect to any candidates, but I'm going to use these folks as department heads. We have 25 department heads in the city of North Charleston. 25. There's the big four: police department, fire department, recreation, and public works. These folks here to kind of explain to you, I have that institutional knowledge and understanding of their doing all kinds of events, being up communities, we've been walking, we've been doing things, and Mayor should do that. He's a military guy, he understands things. I was a SWAT commander for 12 years. I understand bad guys in our cities, if they're breaking the law, they gotta be held accountable. I know what he's talking about. You look at County Councilman Pryor, he actually works in the mayor's office. He does a lot of things. I think he was on the husband, he was a tourism person. Very good wide range, but he's a guy that will talk to anybody, any citizen that come in, to talk about complaints or things that they have. He's good at that. You know, I have that ability. I call her Judge Getaway. She actually worked as drugs. I'm on Act Force. Then you have Mr. Secretary. He's a businessman. I don't have a business, but my business is to serve and to protect. I'll go anyway, any place, anytime, and do the job that the citizens need. Then we look at City Councilman Ron. She works extensively with Hispanics and Latino citizens. She and I created a program in 2003. Right now, that program exists, giving us opportunity to break the barriers between Hispanics and Latinos and Americans. They simply don't know how to communicate with us, so we work together to get that done. So when you talk about, having that knowledge, 25 years, 25 department heads, finance, all the way down to cultural arts. I've worked with them for 34 years. I know their job descriptions, and I would work with them in a timely fashion. We just came through a hurricane. I would have been there with them right now. God bless. Thank you.
Excuse me, let me interrupt for a moment. You may have seen the magenta cards go up. That is the candidates letting me know. That is the candidates letting me know that they wish to respond. Because we only have one more candidate to answer the question directly. I'm going to allow her to speak. Then we're going to go directly to those persons who have raised their card. All right? Ms. Jerome.
So what qualifies me to be mayor? So 20 years I have served on city council and I have represented the constituents in District 2. Not only in District 2, but throughout the whole city of North Charleston. And Reggie's right, we've walked the streets together, we've created groups together just to find ways to communicate to help keep crime down. You asked about the budget, and I wanted to clarify something. The mayor has input on the budget of North Charleston, but the mayor does not pass the budget. That is solely up to city council to pass that budget. So he can make recommendations, but if he does not have the support of city council, that budget's not going to pass. So please understand the form of government that we're in and how that works. As mayor, you have to develop good relationships with your department heads. If you do not, then you are going to fail. Because you work so closely with department heads, you have to know what is going on in the building department. How many permits are being done? How many houses are being built? How many ditches are clogged up for public works to be made aware of? The other thing is, for 20 years, I have gone to leadership training. I have graduated from the Municipal Association of South Carolina. They're regular, they're advanced, they're continuing education. But most importantly, I am the only council person in the whole state of South Carolina to achieve Diamond Magna Cum Laude leadership training status, which is only one level short of being all the way to the top. And that's quite an achievement on my part. But by doing this, I am able to keep up with the growing trends that are happening, not only in South Carolina, but all over our country. The developers, I don't remember which one spoke about it. You have to have a good relationship with developers. Over 20 years, I have established good working relationships with a lot of developers. And I hope to maintain that, and I'm sure I will. I too am ready to serve day one. Being on city council for 20 years, I step into the seat as mayor, and we continue business as usual, but in a different direction because I'm a new leader with a new city going a new direction. Thank you.
At this point, I wish to recognize those candidates who raised their cards. I believe that Mr. Coletti raised his first, and he has 1 minute to respond. And hold on, Mr. Coletti. I'm sorry, I don't understand what is going on the floor, but we will be going to a break after this section concludes. So let me finish out this section and then I will understand what is happening on the floor. Mr. Coletti has a minute. Ma'am, please. Ma'am, may I please? Ma'am, may I please continue? Mr. Coletti.
I'm not counting, I'm just clarifying my position. The purpose of the card was to clarify our statement, correct?
This,
Or something that you kind of said.
as the moderator, I'm going to ask that everyone give us the respect of allowing me to complete this section of the program. Then I will respond to any concerns that you might have, because this program is being timed. So, Mr. Clay, would you please go ahead and give your 1 minute statement?
This is not debated. I'm not going against anything Mr. Burgess said. Everything he said was in line. I'm just dialing down what I said. When I said I'll let the flight line, I want to go a little bit deeper. I know I said I run a flight line, but that doesn't mean anything to anybody. What that means is I'm here on the flight line and I ran the flight line. But below me were several entities that make that airplane fly. Jets, fuels, aviation, electronics, electricians. So as a leader, the question was about leadership. When I threw a general response to you, it really didn't mean much. So all I'm doing right now is clarifying what I said earlier. Mr. Burgess was correct. He named a bunch of different entities that worked under him. I just wanted to clarify that that also happens for me and what I did in the military on both sides, Navy and the Air Force. That's all I was doing. This is not a debate. I just wanted you to understand a little bit more about what I did instead of just saying I ran a flight line. That's all. Thank you.
The next person is Mr. Pryor. All right. The next person was Mr. Williams.
I just want to clarify because we pointed out a minute ago. So some of my experiences is business administration, small business owner, office of Sales and State Guard, and currently serving the Charleston County Board of Zoning Appeals. So that deals with zoning issues as well as different departments in Charleston County. So thank you.
All right. At this point, we will allow the candidates a 10-minute break, and then I will address the members of the audience. All right, so the candidates can. I'm speaking from the floor. This, we know that. This is not a debate. Everyone has said that. The rules that govern this process, the candidates were all given them in advance. They signed agreements to abide by them. So nothing that is happening here is a surprise to any of the candidates. And the cards they held up were to allow them to respond to something that they heard. It is not to make a personal attack on the candidate or candidates that may have said something. It is also designed to give you a little more insight into how they interpret the question that's on the floor. I am very proud to say that none of the responses were personal attacks. None of them were debate responses. It was just an opportunity for them to respond to something they may have heard a candidate or other candidates say. We only have a certain amount of time for this event. And the next round, you're going to hear questions, and they will only have 1 minute to respond. That's why they are moving in the way that they are, so that they can be in place and we can speed through the event. It wasn't designed to have input from the audience because of the number of candidates. The number of candidates and trying to make sure that each one of them could be heard. So I do apologize, but we need to go ahead and proceed on so that you can hear from them on some questions and concerns.
Okay, before I begin with segment B, just a few housekeeping rules I wanted to mention. One, please refrain from any outbursts. Any questions you have, can you please hold them until the end? And second, there's some concern about when the candidates get up before it's their time. It's distracting some of you. This is a rapid segment, again, so we want to keep them moving. They have 1 minute, 60 seconds to respond. So we apologize for any distractions. Okay? So the first question, and this time I'll start with you, Councilwoman Joel, and we'll come back this way. The first question is, what initiatives do you propose to enhance the local entrepreneurial ecosystem and support startups as a means of fostering economic development?
Can you repeat this?
Okay, I'll repeat the question. What initiatives do you propose to enhance the local entrepreneurial ecosystem and support startups as a means of fostering economic development?
To begin with, we need to look into the areas where there's not a lot of development with local businesses, perhaps doing overlay districts to encourage local businesses, eco-friendly businesses. I know right now we have a farmer's market on wheels that goes to underserved communities. So I think it's just a matter of investing in businesses that are willing to do this with us.
Good question.
Okay, you repeat.
Yes. What initiatives do you propose to enhance the local entrepreneurial ecosystem and support startups as a means of fostering economic development?
Well, as a mayor, you should also always think about how you can impact folks who are actually trying to be impactful. We have nonprofits that are out there, we have entrepreneurship that's out there, and all these folks are trying to improve quality of life. So as a mayor, I would actually sit down with them, or go with them, wherever they are, sit down and see exactly what they're trying to do and what kind of job they're trying to do, look at their business program. And if it's something that I to help them along the way, I would, but also too, I would actually try to gear them or send them in directions with areas that need that type of program. And I believe in the nonprofits right now, they are actually working in the communities, you know, with violence interrupters. They're working with social emotional programs. They're working with mentoring and tutoring programs. We have one right here at Liberty Hill. So those are type installations you need to be, you know, as a mayor, force that into your community, because what you get out of it is very productive. So that's what I believe as mayor should do.
Under the 2019 brochure, there's a section in my brochure that says, "Our business is growing your business." It is specifically for local businesses to assist them with several of the expenses that they have. For instance, training. Training is one of the largest expenses that they have. The city can access government programs and funding that it can then use those funds to help by sharing them with local businesses. CDBG funds, for instance, the Community Development Block Grant funds, can be used for many things. You can take a look at the CAPERS report, the Consolidated Annual Performance Evaluation Report, where the CDBG funds come in. The mayor has the responsibility of how those funds are used, and they can be used to help assist the local businesses, as well as partnering with the banks so that the low interest rate loans can be acquired in order to help them, grants that can help them actually further their business, as well as giving them access to sister city programs that will allow them to reach out worldwide so they can gain additional customers for their business and not be restricted to what's local. So those are the things that I would do to help our local entrepreneurs.
I think as mayor, helping our local entrepreneurs, first, promoting ecosystem businesses involves creating awareness and driving engagement. So I think highlighting sustainability is important. Emphasize how the offerings will contribute to a healthier environment, communicate the and also is important about sharing information about and benefits that they bring. Engaging the community and have a relationship with local business owners is important as well. Content marketing is important, creating valuable content that showcase the expertise from the mayor's office in an eco-friendly space is important, and collaboration. I think it's important to have a partnership with eco-conscious businesses, talking about the importance of it, how it will benefit the community, and credibility. So I think it's about inclusivity, I think it's about transparency, and I think it's about events and workshops, just making you aware. Having networking affordability, attending relevant industries, and connecting with potential partners and other businesses that will come to the area.
Turn off the Wi-Fi, throw away the phones. That's all I got. Thank you. I'm kidding. Seriously, North Charleston is very unique. We have resources that nobody even thinks about, which I was part of when I was in the military. We reached out to the schools and we helped tutor children. We got the military, we got the Air Force over here. We can reach out to them as the mayor, partner up with them, and see if we can't work out a program where they can tutor some of our children. On the other side of town, just in Goose Creek, we have the Naval Weapons Stations. They got some of the smartest guys in the world there. They're nuclear power training facility students. Those are the smartest guys in the United States Navy. They're just full astronauts. Those guys are super intelligent. I have a few friends and they just blow me away. But I would reach out to those facilities to see if they have guys that are willing to step up and tutor our children. That would go a real long way, and it's free. And they're there. And most of the guys would be willing to do it because I was one of those guys that helped tutor children when I was in the military. That's where I would go to help develop our students at a young age. Thank you.
Racism, sexism within our city and foster a culture of acceptance and equality. And I think the impetus behind this is because we thought that we had dealt with a lot of these issues in the civil rights movement and when back in the 60s and 70s, and now we look up and we are right back here again. So we want to know what measures would you take to address these issues today with of discrimination, racism, and sexism within our city and foster a culture of acceptance and equality?
Well, first of all, in the mayor's office, you should not have any discrimination, racism, sexism. That should not exist. I guess I am fortunate that I was raised to get along with everybody, to see beyond the horizon. So being on city council and working with the members of my community in District 2, I think you could go to any of them and they would say, is Rhonda racist? And they would say no. Is she a sexist? They would say no. But you have to instill in the employees that it's not going to be tolerated. If it's allowed, then they no longer have a job because we are all one, we all bleed red, and we all need to get along. Plain and simple.
In 2019, or 2017, I went up as assistant chief Vegas to Department of Justice in DC. We went up there to get the Walter Scott shooting audit. When we got to DC, we were told that we were going to receive an audit under that administration. So that was U.S. Attorney Jeff Sessions. We came back here to Charleston and we told every news station that we weren't going to be able to provide an audit. What we did is, when I became the chief in 2018, I called the Department of Justice and asked Director Mahoney to bring in unconscious bias training, basic training. I actually asked her to also contact some state senators and U.S. senators, which was Senator Tim Scott. He called his office and asked me to bring in fair and impartial policing. Then I shift gears, and right now, to this day, we have what you call racial equity training. That's for every officer. The first thing that you have to do is acknowledge that you have a problem. You've got to acknowledge that. And that's what we did. And once we did that, we actually gave every officer an opportunity to realize that we all have biases. We all do. But when we acknowledge it, we can work to be a better officer and a better human being. Then we work on the safe places. If you go on Park Circle in some areas, you will see it called safe places, badge and colors on it. That's for the LGBTQ community. When they feel that they're attacked, they can go in their business, lock the door, and call the police. Our officers have that in the system. So yes, racism is something that should never happen, never be allowed to be a part of my administration. Thank you.
As mayor, simple. I would have a zero tolerance for the racism, discrimination, sexism, simply because it has no place in City Hall. Presently, we have in the city of North Charleston several different departments. For instance, in contracts, we give $100 million in contracts every single year. Less than 2% goes to African American, 50% of the population. We are presently spending $100 million in recreation, $0 going in the Black neighborhood. 20 million at Park Circle, 20 million at Danny Jones, 23 million at When you take a look at the North Charleston job situation, African Americans get 25% of the job, but only 15% of the pay. The studies in North Charleston, the diversity study from the fire department, says that cronyism, regimented, and nepotism is systemic within North Charleston. This is their study. The racial bias audit should be the racial discrimination audit because that's what it is. And so there's zero tolerance under my policies for racism, sexism, and discrimination in North Charleston.
I agree with zero tolerance. I think that we should implement inclusive policies, promote diversity in hiring, foster educational programs, engage with community leaders and organizations can also help create an inclusive environment. Training within the police department is really important to me to reduce racial profiling and over-policing. In the city of North Charleston, is a high rate of over-policing and racial profiling. I believe in the forensic department not only to identify and look at people who have committed crimes, but to also look at police officers that are in that department and to look at their behavior and to look at their attitude. I think that's important. Consistent efforts and collaborations are key to making progress. It does not have any room in the city of North Charleston for sexism, for racism, for cronyism, for noism. We are a community that is together, and I think it lies that the leader is beholding, and if we do not tolerate it, it will not exist.
I agree with zero tolerance, but I go a step further. I would hire a diversity officer who would report directly to me as the mayor. I would require sensitivity training for all employees, and any new employee that comes in would have to go through sensitivity training as well before they're hired. Pertaining to procurement, that's a simple fix. You can have the procurement laws change that require every contract that goes out can require 15, 20, 18%, or whatever it is, MWDP or minority participation. When I first came on county council, less than 1/10 of 1% was being spent with minorities. Henry Darby and myself, Laura Curtis, adapted in 18 months, was able to get to 18%, and now it's at 25%. So if you're talking about doing something, just look at what I've done, and that'll show you what I'll do in the future. Thank you.
I believe in one race, the human race. God created us all equal. Society divided us. Once we get past that and unite, the government will fold. They keep us separated so they can control us. But under me as your mayor, I'm going to unite this city. I'm going to do my darndest for 4 years to bring us together. I wasn't raised in a family that we recognize color. All my friends are black growing up. In the military, I'm a veteran. I didn't care what color you were. The only thing I want to know from you, you got my back if I needed you. That's all that mattered to me. I don't care if you were black, yellow, green, orange, it didn't matter. Do you have my back? As the mayor, that's the mentality that I want throughout the city with my workers. That's all. And that's all I want to do as your mayor, unite the city. Thank you.
As far as racism and sexism in North Charleston, I want to make sure that the budget is paying all individuals even and equal based on their qualifications, not based on their gender. So that's what I would do for North Charleston as mayor. As far as discrimination and racism in North Charleston as a whole, I just, first of all, I have the utmost respect for this neighborhood, 152 years, the first freedmen's colony in this area. And so you all have fought the good fight. So I stand with you all here in Liberty Hill. So I will stand against systemic racism. Individual races happen, and you see those individual races that happens in different places. But when you have systemic racism, that's when you have things like investing in neighborhoods past the railroad tracks. You're investing in neighborhoods further up north and not over here. That's what I want to make sure we deal with. So I want to make sure that our public works department is making sure that all the neighborhoods in the whole city get the equal treatment that they need based on what they need. That's how I look at systemic racism. And you all know it way better than I do, but I want to be an ally to help out. Thank you so much.
This brings us to our third and final segment. These questions are tailored for each individual candidate. I have candidates Jesse Williams, John Secretary, and Reggie Burgess. I will start with Jesse Williams. You have 1 minute, 60 seconds to answer. Okay, so it is known that you've ran for a few offices, positions, excuse me. City Council, School Board, and now Mayor. Could you please clarify your angle? What is your passion?
Yes, ma'am. I ran for City Council, County Council, and now Mayor, not School Board. I work to help the School Board. My passion is helping the people. So I started in the community where the needs were, and I wanted to go out and help the people with the needs like parks and sidewalks and amenities that was lacking in North Charleston. So moving from there, what I saw along the way was that housing is so expensive. And as mayor, I want to do something about that. I don't think that the city hall currently as it is dealing with that issue of affordable housing like we should be. You see all these developers coming into the mix, coming in with their plans, and it's rubber stamping the plans. All the council does is rubber stamp the developers' plans. And so I want to see that change. I want to at least take the information out to the people and make sure that the residents know what all these plans are that's coming into the mix and coming into our city, North Charleston. And just to make sure that all the residents are at least informed of what's going on. You know, you have so much development up there in Ingleside Drive. You have all these units coming up. But what's going on to help these areas and the southern part and the Park Circle area and the area where I grew up in Glen Terrace? What's happening to help those parts as well? Yes, we can have growth, but it needs to be responsible in a way that helps the residents and not everybody who's coming to the area. So thank you so much.
Mr. Secretary, you've mentioned quite a few times that if elected mayor, you can guarantee a grocery store on the southern end in 12 months. If Mayor Sunny has been able to get a chain store or a developer to commit, how can you be so sure that you will be able to get it done?
Quite simple. My man, my word. But further than that, the average grocery store is about 20,000 square feet. $3 is $300 per square feet. That's about $6 million. In the Shakur Cherokee contract, $1 million is already given to the city to assist with that grocery store. So we got $1 million already. We've got $100 million in surplus. That's money that you've overpaid in taxes that's sitting there that can be used. The other $5 million for that grocery store certainly can come from the person who's going to own the grocery store, and that could either be done by bank financing or from the city. The issue is not if a grocery store can be built, because there's many that's been built around the city in North Charleston since then. For 15 years, we've been promised a grocery store in the South End, and one has not been built, with the money sitting there, with the capability sitting there. The only issue is there a willingness to build a grocery store in the South End? And so what I say is that with the funding, with the capability, because as I said earlier, I've been instrumental in building a grocery store, it is a guarantee that within 12 months, I will have a fully functioning grocery store in the food desert in the South End.
Your question is, you always say that the crime rate was low under your leadership, but the public always thinks otherwise. Can you please clarify?
Yes, I hopefully y'all can record this and y'all can come see it. When folks tell you that your city is the most violent city per capita, here it is. Per capita is a city called McCall, M-C-C-O-L-L in Marbury County. The second one is Orangeburg. The third one is Allendale. Next one is Spartanburg, Darlington, Hartsville, Florence, Camden, Georgetown, Denmark, Waterboro, Myrtle Beach, Timothville, Washoe, Clinton, Greenwood, Bamberg, and we're number 18. And after that, Columbia falls behind. People need to say one thing. I wasn't able to do the things that I really wanted to with the crime. I tried. I did everything I could do. I walked those streets. I with the families. Have you ever hung with a mother that you have to sit and tell that mother that her young kid was killed? I did that 97% of 5 years. Sat in those mothers' homes. You have to tell their families, go to the funerals, go to the wakes, have everything we can to help the family. But when people tell you something, I'm dealing with facts. This is facts, people. Our city is not the most violent city in the state of South Carolina. It's not.
Your extensive educational background. Some citizens who have children who have disabilities and they are trying to mainstream them through the school system, have run into various problems and difficulties. What would you do as mayor to help families living with children with disabilities to navigate the educational system?
Thank you for the question. Having a PhD in psychology, I understand psychological disorders, and being certified in emotional disability, I understand.
The next question is for Mr. Coletti. And the citizens of North Charleston have lots of concerns about infrastructure, transportation, and those kinds of matters. We know that you have some involvement with the Low Country Rapid Transit System. That is something that we have heard about for years and have not seen any evidence that it is any closer to coming into existence. What can you tell us about that?
Great question. That program actually started back in, I think, 2000 is when that program started. First I heard about it is support it. What it's going to be is a burden to the taxpayers. It's going to be put in place alongside the CARTA, which already exists, which is sufficient at the time. So it is a good design, but in the wrong place. It's going to come down the middle of Rivers Avenue. If you think your traffic is bad now, and they start doing lane sharing with those rapid transit lines that have the ability to change the traffic lights as they approach, you haven't seen anything yet. If you have not checked the websites out, you really need to educate yourself on this, folks, because it is going to gridlock the city. As the mayor, I would put a freeze on that immediately. I addressed this with the mayor and said, Mayor Sully, what's going on? We talked about Low Country traffic system. And he said, I don't want it in my city. I asked him, what are you doing to stop it? He wouldn't answer me. I would put a freeze on it immediately until I'm able to go through every detail of that system, traffic studies, and how it's going to affect the city. They're going to change intersections. They're going to move intersections. You won't be able to cross over River Avenue in some places. So I encourage you, do your homework. Get educated on what's going to happen, because it's going to affect you all mostly down here, because it's going to really tie up Rivers Avenue down here. Thank you.
Mr. Pryor, some voters are very aware of your extensive history in dealing with various issues and your experience, I believe they call it, in the back room of where decisions are made. In the back room of where decisions are made. So that you are someone who's in the back room when decisions are made. You know how decisions are made. You know who the people are that make them. You have that experience. Isn't it? And the question is, how can you assure the voters that there will be transparency if you should win the office of mayor in the way that you conduct your office?
Well, if you look at it, all business done on county council done in public is transparent. There's never been a vote taken in the back room, so I don't know where the question comes from. This is a backroom deal. I mean, to ask a question like that to any candidate, I think is insulting. Now, if you have proof of anything that's being done like that, that should have been out here tonight. But to ask a question like that in front of these audience, I think it's insulting, and I think it should be retracted, because every vote I've taken has been in public, and we're not allowed to take votes behind the scenes on backroom meetings.
Well, Mr. Pryor, I cannot account for what is in the minds of the people that we spoke to pose their questions. I don't think that they were referencing in the backroom meeting that it was someplace where something illegal was taking place. I thought that what the person was telling me is that you are known as kind of a deal maker, that you have experience in dealing with a lot of issues, and that a lot of things happen behind the scenes. I didn't think that the citizen that gave you the question were trying to say that they thought you were doing anything illegal. I thought it's actually complimentary, and it was your opportunity for those people who might take it another way for you to expound on that.
The way that was stated, when you said vacuum deals, there are no vacuum deals. Now, if you're talking about meeting and getting things done behind the scenes, that goes on everywhere. If you're the CEO, you're the chairman of council, you meet with folks and you bring it back to the rest of the council, and your job is to sell it to 4 or 5 other people to make sure it happens. And so if that's not a backdoor deal, that's what you call experience, and that's what you call getting things done.
And I think that is the heart of the question. I don't remember seeing backroom deals, but saying in the back room.
Well, if you're looking for somebody to get something done, yes, I'm that person to get things done. I've done it, and I will continue to do it, but it will be done above board.
Excellent.
Thank you.
So, again, Mr. Pryor, just on behalf of the Liberty Hill Alliance and the Improvement Council, it is clear that you were offended by the question, and I did my best to explain to you what was said to me, but there was no intention to offend you, and I think that what your response was very targeted, and in case anyone would think of you in that way, I think you spoke directly to that. So I commend you for doing so, and and I apologize that it offended you, but I did not take the person who gave you the question. I didn't think that person was against you. I thought that person actually was someone who was a supporter. So I'm sorry that it came out that way. Yeah. All right. This brings this section of our program to a close, because each of those questions were meant to bring out concerns of the citizens with regard to specific candidates. You've also heard questions that were directed at all of the candidates, so you can compare their responses. Now, here's your opportunity to hear their closing statements. In their closing statements, they have 2 minutes, and we shall begin with Mr. Williams.
Thank you. I'm just going to speak from the heart here. Again, thank you all for putting this on, and I enjoyed tonight. I'm different from the other candidates because I get things done. So I go out to the community, I get the work done, but also I organize to get things done. I'll do the same thing as mayor. For example, one of the recent things that we worked on, which was where the association president here, as how I met the association president, was that we helped to work on district lines in North Charleston. And no other candidates on this stage had a voice in there unless they were coming from North Charleston. North Charleston wanted to get rid of District 7 and put it all the way up to the top and not mitigate those lines to make it fair. Look it up. Look up the history. Y'all can look it up. So I was working on that. And as mayor, those kind of issues come back to the city. That encompasses issues such as discrimination, such as voting rights, and those are going to come back to North Charleston. And I'll be a mayor for the people in that respect, just like I've been a mayor, just like I've been an individual for the people, dealing with district lines, making sure it's fair. Now it's a little bit more fair here in District 8, but it's still got District 7 all the way to the top. It's a brand new District 7. Please do your homework. That's what I was doing, and I'm here for you. Thank you so much.
$22 million in Aquatic Center, $37 million CPW building, $34 million, City Hall. $11 million, Westcott Ball Fields. $1 million a year, Westcott Golf Course. $9 million, basketball course off of Remount Road. And the list goes on and on and on. And most recently, $50 million, Park Circle. Where's our money? We're not in the circle. We're not part of the good old boy system. We're not included in that. The day I get voted in, that stops. Mayor Somey has no more ties to the city. I am not and have not and will not work for the city or the county. I am clean. I'm a fresh face with good ideas. I'm here for the people and only for the people. I'm bridging the gap between your communities and City Hall. Mayor for the day will be an open door policy where you will be coming to my office and tell me what your communities need. If you're happy the way the last 30 years went, I'm not the guy you're going to vote for now. But tonight, I encourage you to go home, russcoletti.com, and read about me. I've only touched the surface about who I am, but I encourage you to go read about me. It paints a whole different picture. A vote for us is a vote for us. I humbly ask your vote on November 7th. We can do this together. Thank you very much.
Lastly, I want to thank the Liberty Hill Group and all that participated and all that started this tonight, this forum. I want to thank you for the invitation. But on a serious note, North Charleston is at a crossroad. 30 years of an incumbent is leaving. 5 city council members with experience is leaving. And so now you have to make that choice, whether you want somebody with experience to be with new city council members, or you just want to vote somebody in because of popularity. This is not a popularity contest. When you look at the economy now is on a downturn. And it's going to affect us sooner rather than later. And so we need to prepare for that right now. We need somebody in office who's ready to take that challenge, along with new city council members, and keep the city in the right direction. I am that candidate. I will continue to do what the city of North Charleston has experienced. But again, let's get serious and let's pick somebody who's going to be ready on day one and who is going to bring the city and move the city in the right direction. And I am that candidate. Again, Teddy is ready.
It's about experience, it's about compassion, it's about education. I am the voice for all the unheard voices over the past 30 years. We simply want to be changed. We want to bring change. I aim to be an advocate for social justice, for mental health, to stop over-policing, to stop projects that are put in place. I want to end the tale of two cities here in North Charleston, the have versus the have-not. I am tired of driving through North Charleston, knocking on doors, listening to the complaints of citizens, where you are in one part of North Charleston, it appears that you're in a beautiful city, and you are. And then you simply go a few streets down and over, and it looks like you just crossed over in Haiti. That is not the city of North Charleston. We have got to bring change. It's about our education, making sure that our children are getting the quality education that they need. It's about building relationships. So if you want change, I often say, we are the game changer. We would like to have your vote on November 7th. Thank you.
Hello again, my name is John Singletary. Experienced in doing every single aspect that's necessary for running the city of North Charleston and adding value on day one. When we take a look at experience alone is not enough. We also need a plan. I've got a 76-page brochure that I've done that allows me on day one to hit the ground running. The only thing that's missing is your vote for me as mayor of North Charleston. When we look at housing, my housing plan says 30% of your income. You can own your own home with no denial based on credit. No denial based on credit. When we look at the crime rate, it needs to come down. I've always said it's been one of the highest per capita in the nation, and that is true. More so, when you look at the North Charleston Crime Statistic Database, here are the facts. In 18, it was 964. This is the violent crime index that I'm telling you about. It was 964. It moved to 1,114. The next year, it was 1,164. Then 1,289. Don't take my word, you check the North Charleston Crime Statistic Database or the FBI Crime Statistic Database. It will be consistent with what I'm telling you. When we take a look at my vision says that there must be better management of the contracts. No more can we allow 100% of $100 million in contracts to move away from the 62% of the population, giving them less than 2%. We cannot allow 50% of the citizens to get 25% of the jobs and only 15% of the pay. We must continually move North Charleston to a new level of excellence, to a world-class city. And your vote for me as mayor of North Charleston on November 7th will do that. Let's get together and make North Charleston a better city.
Thank you all, Liberty Hill group. Thank the ladies and gentlemen single theater. And thank everybody for being here. I know some of you folks may not vote for me. That's no problem, because I pray for you. So I hope you pray for me. I am here because in 1989, when I walked in those doors at Old City Hall, my main goal was to work on the inside to better situations from the outside. Being an African American, growing up in the city, I understood the issues that sometimes the law enforcement agency placed upon the African American community. How was I going to be able to change that? I felt being on the inside would be the best way. As I matriculated on up, the Lord blessed me to rise up. And in my 29th year, I became chief of police. And in becoming chief of police, I understand one thing. You cannot affect change unless you're at the top, truly, because it's coming down. So that's why I actually not only brought those bias-based training, not only did I actually bring fair and partial police training, I asked the mayor somebody in 2019 to have the racial bias audit. When you look at the racial bias audit on page 75, it will tell you that the people believe and trust.
So I'm tired of pulling it down, so I'm gonna do it like this. So you saved the best for last, the shortest one, but the best one. I have 20 years experience in government. I have been elected by the members of City Council 4 times to serve as Mayor Pro Tem. So I have sat in the shoes of the mayor. North Charleston is my home, but North Charleston is my city. I was born and raised here. What happens here affects me. I am the woman for the job. You know, there's a saying, behind every man is a good woman. It's time to put a good woman in the seat at the top of City Hall. It is a new city. I'm a new leader. We're going in a new direction. And on November 7th, I humbly ask for your vote for Mayor of North Charleston.
I understand what you mean about this
from business and honey. Anyway, the last thing, you've heard the word vote a lot tonight. I cannot impress upon you enough. North Charleston is, the way the mayor is elected in North Charleston, it is a simple majority of the votes. That's it. Everybody's vote counts.